Hello, Bob Hall here, making another Hallsome Farm video. Today I'm going to show you how to plant blueberries in Texas anyway. Around here our soil is around a pH of 8 and the water comes out of the well at about an 8.2. Blueberries, however, need a pH of around 4 or 5 to thrive. And so the only way we can grow blueberries here in Texas is to put them in some sort of container. And I've chosen to put them into wicking beds. And I wanted to show you these 3 plants. They're 2 years old. And this summer I got 6 pounds of blueberries off of these plants. And I have no dirt in these beds. I'll show you how a wicking bed how it works and what I put in to get these guys to do so well. Okay, here is a wicking bed, and I use a 27-gallon tote that you can buy at any big box store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Costco, and you know, they're great little totes. Now I've had these, I wanted to know how well these would hold up. So far I've gone on 4 years with these and they're still working fine. Now I paint the outside, they're black totes with a yellow lid, don't need the lid, but I paint the outside white so that in the extreme heat of the summer, a lot of the heat won't be absorbed, it'll be repelled. Reflected off, because plants, they sense the temperature through their roots, and if this is left black, it'll absorb so much heat in the summertime that most likely will kill anything you've got growing in here. So you want to paint them white, and I found enamel paint is the best to stick to plastic. So what we do is at the sorry about that, mosquitoes. At the 4-inch mark on the bottom, I drill a hole and put in just a piece of tubing, and then put rock 4 inches up on the bottom. We put this pipe in here. This is a 2-inch drain pipe, and it goes down, makes an elbow, and comes through the whole bed. And the bottom section, I drill a bunch of holes so that the water can be dispersed. And you just take the cap off, you use your garden hose or whatever, fill this up here until the water starts to trickle out the pipe that we put in, and we know that the reservoir is full. Then we put a weed barrier down on top of that rock so that when plants start to grow, the roots, they can't go into the rock and clog it all up, because you want that reservoir to remain clean. And the other thing, you can make these out of wood or anything, like, you know, almost any container, but you don't want to have more than 12 inches of media inside your wicking bed. Otherwise, after 12 inches, wicking doesn't occur as efficiently, and after a couple more inches, you're not going to get any wicking at all. But if you're within 12 inches of your reservoir, water will wick up just fine. So we put that weed barrier down, and then we can put in whatever media we want. And in this case, we're going to be planting blueberries. So we're not going to use dirt at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up a 50% peat moss, 50% pine shavings, make that mix up, and I'm going to put it in here, and then we'll plant the plants. That's what I did with the 3 plants I just showed you, and they're thriving, they're doing very well. As I told you, our water is very high, around an 8.2 pH coming out of the ground. So with the pine, that helps to lower the pH when you water your plants. Now, when all possible, we try to water with rainwater, but the pH on rainwater is still around a 7. So it's still higher than blueberries like. So the pine helps to reduce that pH, and the plants will do very well. So I'll show you the mix and planting the blueberries, and we'll go from there. I've made up my mixture about 50-50, and you see the pine in there and the peat moss. One other thing I want to mention, if you have a aquaponics system like I do, and right now we don't have a real good method of capturing lots of rainwater, so I use aquaponic water when I water the blueberries, just like you saw me doing on the trees and other films when I first plant them. Aquaponics naturally has a tendency to lower pH in the system, and as you only add water occasionally, you don't ever change out the water, it's pretty good stuff to water with. Plus, again, it's got all the nutrients and bacterium and all that stuff that really helps the soil be fertile and productive. So it's another plug, I guess, for why it's good to have an aquaponics system. But if you don't, rainwater will work just fine. All right, let's see about and being peat moss and stuff, this will settle some. I'll pack it down a little bit. The other thing about wicking beds too, I forgot to mention, is they've got to be level. Otherwise they won't wick properly. Now, you can set wicking beds right on the ground if it's level, but as you can see with my back, I can't, so I got them on cinder blocks, and it just is nice because now I can sit on a 5-gallon bucket and work while I'm sitting down, which is much easier on my back. So you don't have to do that, but it does have to be level. So here's my first blueberry. This is called a top hat blueberry. It's only going to get about 2 feet tall, but it's supposed to be very abundant in its fruiting. So I decided to try it, and I'm planting this one because, as you can see the sun on me, the sun comes up this way, so it'll get plenty of sun. And actually I've dug into my gravel beds in the aquaponics, and I actually had this sitting in the gravel bed, so it's nice and moist, it's happy, it's been getting plenty of good nutrient rich water. So anyway, that's not very hard. I'll stick this here, just it won't last, but now we just add water to the container. You can also water here. That's the beauty of these beds, is that, let's say like when Harvey was here a couple weeks ago, we got 5.5 inches of rain over a 50-hour period. It just slowly steady rain, which is a great rain to have. But what happened in these wicking beds is, as it rained and the reservoir would fill up, any overflow would just flow out. So you're never going to get your top of your plant, your roots, sopping wet, because you can't wick up sopping wet, and any excessive rainwater will dissipate. So it's a great system to have. And I always tell people, because aquaponics is expensive to get into, no question, But if you want to get started in something that saves water, is easy to maintain, wicking beds are definitely the way to go. They're wonderful. They're easy to weed, and they take a lot less water than a conventional garden. So I'm going to go ahead and plant this one, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, there you go. We've got these two blueberry. By the way, this is a Tiff Blue. I've already got one of those. Great producer, grows great here. And this top hat I'm trying out, but both of these are supposed to grow up to zone 9. Again, we're zone 8, so not every blueberry plant will grow in zone 8. So whatever zone you're in, you definitely need to check and see and plant the species and varieties that will grow in your area. And I know some areas the pH in the ground is just fine and you can plant blueberries, but if you're in an area where you can't, putting them in a pot or a wicking bed or some other container and controlling the media that they grow in is a great way to go. Well, I hope this was enjoyable to you and that maybe you learned something. I appreciate any comments you might give, and if you like what we're doing, please share us on Facebook and your other medias, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. We appreciate you watching.